For those that have arrived already, you'll note at the top of the chat that I have added a Discord invitation for anybody that might be interested in joining the conversation on our Discord, our INSA Discord server. Also, the website address is there, and I've also included the link to where you will find a recording of this presentation. A recording is happening right now as we speak, obviously, and then we will post it in a few days on our YouTube site, so you can spread the word. If anybody didn't get to see the presentation and wants to, they can go to that link. I think we should go ahead and get started. My name is Rich Brown. I'm a sortition advocate from San Francisco, California, in the US, and one of the facilitators of INSA. I will be moderating the presentation today. As I said before, we're recording the event, and you can find it posted on our YouTube channel in a few days. And again, all those links are at the top of this chat. I'll put them at the bottom again at the end of our presentation today. For those that don't know, INSA is the International Network of Sortition Advocates. It's a volunteer organization aimed at connecting pro-sortition academics, advocates, and activists around the world to share resources and tactics and advance the theoretical understanding of sortition. It's a spinoff, actually, from the Sortition Foundation that is located in the UK. We established our Discord server approximately 4 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago, and as I said, the invitation to join that server is at the top of this chat. And we would welcome you to the conversation there and offer any assistance that we can when you arrive. For those people that are attending today, if you would take a moment, if you haven't already, to turn off your mics. And before we begin the presentation, I wanted to thank Bianca for facilitating today's presentation. She got a hold of Georg and was a facilitator of a lot of the communication between us. So thank you, Bianca, for that. The topic today is titled Challenges of Non-State Supported Sortition Selected Forums. And our presenter is Georg Racco. I just butchered that. Is a linguist, and he's a linguist from working in the field of language education. He's the founder of the Pan-European think tank Deliberative Democracy Network and member of New Generation since its beginning. He helped organize all, Parlement der Menschen, which is the People's Parliament, and is in charge of all the moderation and editorial work that's related to those events. He's the main author of all studies and reports published by New Generation, and New Generation, among other goals, advocates for a fundamental renewal of democracy, although I believe the roots were in climate awareness. If you have any questions, try to note them to yourself until the end. Georg would like to have 20 minutes, perhaps, at the beginning to make his presentation, and then he'll open it up for questions, and I'll help him identify who's raising their hand and ask the question. One little personal note, and I've said it to other people in this group and elsewhere, but when I read Georg's study, I was quite shocked at some of the findings for it. So it'll be interesting to see what other people believe and see, and maybe be able to discuss about potential solutions. But for right now, welcome, Georg. You're on.
Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. Before I start, I want to apologize in advance for my English. I guess I will struggle here and there. Please be patient with me. I hope I find a way through. I will start the presentation, and I guess it's the full thing right now. So welcome to my presentation about the study and the workshop about the topic. We called it Extra Parliamentary Randomly Selected Councils in Germany, to avoid saying that again and again. We thought about an acronym, and it's ERASCO. extra parliamentarian randomly selected councils. This is what Erasco means. The whole process happened on behalf of Neue Generation, New Generation, and in context of Parliament Dimension, Parliament of the People. And the structure of this presentation is we have four major topics. At the beginning, I want to talk about what are Erasco specifically and why do we talk about it. Then I will give you an overview of the study results, overview of the workshop results that followed the study, and then a quick look ahead. So why Erasco and what is it exactly? As I said, Erasco extra parliamentary randomly selected councils. They are, of course, randomly selected councils, but not commissioned by a government or any form of political body. And so, who commissions randomly selected councils, if not politics or a political body? What we found out in our study in that particular order, that can be universities at foremost, clubs, associations, economy, foundations, initiatives of citizens, non-profit companies, players in art and culture, church, international organization, and so on. So there's a lot of organizations or stuff you can think about who wants to run an Erasco. And why are we talking about that? Um, the world we're living in is a world of polycrisis. You all know that. And what we all know is that the parliamentarian system struggles, or worse, all over the world, in the US, in Europe, and in other countries too. And so we as Neue Generation, and you obviously too, think that Sortition forums can be part of the answer to all these questions and problems that lay in front of us. And in 2025, we got a new government in Germany, and the new government made a coalition agreement, I would say, and they said that they want to do some citizens' assemblies on a federal level in the next 4 years of the legislative term, but 4 or 5 weeks later, the office for CAs of the German Bundestag was just closed. And this office means that this is the office of the Bundestag that initiates, finances, facilitates all the work that has to be done to execute such a citizens' assembly. So there won't be any citizens' assembly in Germany on a federal level. And of course, you miss something when you already had it and when you lost it. And in Germany, we are very lucky that we already had nearly 500 Sortition forums in the last years on all levels. And so we know what the power of citizens' assemblies can be. And to know that politics just decides to not use this instrument was a shock for us. What we also did in 2025, we did a study and we looked at 57 climate CAs in Germany. And what we found out is that these CAs were over 90% ignored by politics and administration completely. And what we also found out is that these CAs are designed to be ignorable, and they are integrated often in processes that do not yield measurable results. And we didn't know if that's just the case in Germany, so we tried to get some feedback from researchers outside of Germany, like Graham Smith from NOCA and more. And the feedback we got is this is an international pattern. So I will post the link later again to this first study. You find it already here, but for now I would leave it by that. So what were the key insights that we had about this topic of Erasco? And um, what surprised us a little was how many participants found it quite difficult, even impossible, to conceive of such councils independently of the political sphere. And so we found it absolutely the right move to just opening up this conceptual space. And I want to make one thing clear because in our workshop, the first day was kind of just answering this question. There's a big possibility of a misconception. Erasco are not in competition with citizens' assemblies commissioned by political bodies, but they rather serve as their counterpart within the framework of civil society led democratic self organization. So it's not a against, it's a parallel, yeah, besides of each other. So the overview of our study results. The basis that we used to do our study comes from the database Datenbank Bürgerräte of the University of Wuppertal and Mehr Demokratie e.V. And there are listed nearly 500 citizens' assemblies or citizen sortition councils or whatever that already happened in Germany in the last decades. And what we try to find out is how many of them are Erascos, and we found 68 that already were carried out in Germany. And this is kind of like 14% of all citizens' assemblies that took place. The other ones were mostly commissioned by administration, politics, by ministries, and stuff like that. So political bodies. What we were looking at were the five aspects of initiation. So who wants a result, funding, who pays for the process and for the implementation of the results, the motivation on goal setting. So what do the initiators want to achieve, and the scope, where do they want to have an impact, and the concrete effectivenesses. So what concretely was the effect that took place or should took place? If it worked or not is always another question. What we didn't look at was the whole thing of execution. So the lottery itself, the facilitation, the experts, and all the stuff from really doing the citizens assembly or the Erasco. We didn't look at that because we didn't have so much time and so much resources, and there's already such a big pile of literature, theoretically or practically, that we had the feeling we can't add to that. We couldn't add value. So we left that out. And the key findings that we had was in the point of initiation, there's a very low culture of cooperation. Just 13 of 68 Erasco initiatives were cooperative, I guess. The other 55 were initiated by a single player. What we also found, and here we can put funding and scope together because there's a critical political proximity despite the extra parliamentary form. So 52% of the Erasco were co-financed by the state in some form, and 57% of the Erasco wanted to have an impact in the political arena, even though the political arena never asked for that. um, we can also put in one category motivation and goal setting and the concrete effectiveness. And we found a profound dominance of recommendation logic. 68% in 68% of the Erasco, the facilitators or the initiators wrote a paper before that and afterwards where they said that recommendations were the motivation or goal of this Erasco. And they also wrote down in 70% of the Erasco that recommendations are a specific type of effectiveness. So that struck us, I would say. But to be fair, there were mostly multiple motivation and goals and concrete effectivenesses. Um, in we found 27 different motivation and goals over these 68 Erasco, and we found 18 different concrete effectivenesses. So that was also surprising. This was the base for the workshop. And in the first 2 days of the workshop, it was 4 days, and it was all online. In the first 2 days, we had a look at this study and the results, and we went on from that. In the third and fourth day of the workshop, um, the participants um, worked on the major challenges of Erasco and tried to find solutions. And the five major challenges are unfamiliarity of Erasco. No one knows what it is and what it means and why should we do this. The second one is external financing versus the independence of the Erasco. The third one is the necessity of a process and outcome openness. The fourth is the dependence of effectiveness on third parties, the recommendation logic, and impact measuring. I would say impact measuring. This is the hardest part. Even if you look at all the citizens' assemblies commissioned by political bodies. So what our participants found out or tried to offer as solutions, where if you do an Erasco, it's important that you do the right choice of topics. It should be relatable, relevant, and controversial to spark some emotions in the people. The communication about Erasco needs to be understandable via diverse media and mostly via direct contact to really have the chance to explain what is happening in such an Erasco. And the overall orientation should be nonpartisan and alliance oriented. The second challenge with the external financing, here we have the strong claim that if there are state funds, they should be strictly transparent without any opportunity or possibility to control the Erasco by the state or any dependency of the Erasco from state money, state structures or whatever. So an idea arose in one of the groups of the workshop that there should be an independent democracy foundation as a distributing institution for of donations, crowdfunding, philanthropy, and different kind of taxes. The proposals were fitting to the German tax system, so I let it out here. But can also be that the taxes or the money from the taxes is distributed by a democracy foundation, for example. And also was spoken about the possibility of a new concept. So if we can raise the initiation of this Erasco in an alliance, we can maybe also find a possibility of alliance funding. So yeah. The third point with the openness is that, or the main thought behind this point is, if these Erasco are commissioned or initiated by, let's say, um, a player from economy or a political NGO or whatever, the results may or can be, there's a danger, can be predetermined. And it may be that the process is not as open as it should be, because, as we all know, these sortition deliberative forums, they live from the openness of outcome and process. The moderation should be neutral, and this is the toughest word, methodol. You can read it, I hope. Methodologically diverse, and the social design of this Erasco overall should be non-hierarchical and egalitarian. These are the proposals of the participants. The fourth challenge, with the dependence of effectiveness on third parties, um, the proposals here were that these Erasco, or the initiators or facilitators of this Erasco, should develop their own areas of influence. And as you can read here, energy infrastructure and so on, these are often areas that where politics should be delivering answers for problems or whatever. And some of them, it depends on the country. Some of them are either ignored by politics because it doesn't fit into the agenda or it hurts to speak about that, or they are just delivering bad solutions for the problems. So there's a possibility for civil society to claim this area and to develop solutions themselves. What should be considered from the beginning in these Erasco processes is the implementation afterwards, the communication during the whole process, and the evaluation after the process, or in between, during the process. Um, that's important, to, if you have a vision where you want to implement or what you want to implement or how you want to implement, this changes how you approach the problem you have to solve. So a last thing that was named here is the continuity through the participants themselves. They should be able, perhaps, to implement the results themselves, or they should be able to um, be part of the implementation process, even though if they are just watching about it, or just controlling, or putting pressure on those who have to implement the results. So yeah, this is important. Okay, and the last one is the difficulty of impact measuring. Here we have different approaches. Of course, it's nothing that new, but it's good to have it in the room again. It's important to define in advance what are the goals, or what is the evaluation grid, and what are possible indicators to measure the impact. It's also important to review the whole process before and after surveys. repeat the surveys after 1, 2, 3 years. Um, there should be for sustainability regular follow-up groups, feedback loops with stakeholders, and so on. And one thing that was important to the participants of the workshop is that we have to consider that there are very meaningful impacts, but they're indirect, like the political education of the participants, the build of trust, the sense of community, and of course, the self efficacy. And that was kind of the compressed version of of the whole workshop. What we also discussed, and I just want to highlight three topics that we also discussed because these are the topics that we try to work on further, is how to design or build or facilitate an Erasco flagship project to make the concept of Erasco more known and trustable. Then we spoke about campaigning ideas, very different campaigning ideas um, that could be used to make this concept more known. And we have, I would not say tradition, but a history in Germany of civil society or CAs organized by civil society that wrote that are constitutional CAs. And so this is something we like to explore a little bit more. We will see where it leads to, but these are kind of like the topics we want to work on further. And if you want to see the results in full detail, you find it on our website. We can post a link in the chat, so you can find there a full report in English and of course in German. In German, we have the edition that we have a 3-pager, a short 3-pager. If you don't want to look a report with 50 sites, 50 pages, you can look at the 3-pager, and yeah, if you want. So that's all for me right now. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions. Thank you. I'm closing the screen sharing.
Thank you, Georg. For those people that have questions of Georg, let's use the, if you would, let's use the link, the raise hand option down below, and raise your hand, and we'll call on you one at a time. Anybody want to start? Well, I want to start. I have a question, if that's okay, Georg. I mean, to me, when I read this study, as I mentioned before, I was shocked because it was a huge reality check. I mean, Germany has had over 200 sortition-related events, which was that was surprising. I didn't actually know that till today. But just the 68 that were studied, or 57 that were studied, was pretty amazing. In America, we don't have anywhere near that number, of course. So, I mean, Germany has come a long ways in terms of just by implementing these citizens' assemblies, there is at least some education, but not enough, right? That's one of the findings of your study, is that really the bottom line is that we need to educate more people of the process and how it could actually work to benefit, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's right now in Germany. The main question is the question of scaling.
Yeah.
So the people need to they have to go through and live through that process, and they have to feel it. How does it feel, and what can it change? And so it's very, very sad that on a federal level I would say, I don't really know the name in English, but it's like if you do participation, but you just do it for doing, not for the results.
Right.
It's I'm not quite sure what the name is, but my feeling is that the German government has so much fear of this instrument that they don't even want to fake it.
Right.
You know, that's my feeling. It's just my perspective, but this is what I got from the developments of the
It's
last year.
similar to the idea of the French climate, where they had 100 and something recommendations at the end of their citizens assembly, and then Macron, chose 4 or 5 or something like that. So that, yeah, it's for show. We would say it's kind of for show, but not for real. Maybe that's one way of looking at it. Anybody else have any thoughts, questions? That to follow that up, I kept thinking to myself, well, if we want to educate, really what we need is we need sortition included in all areas of our lives. We've had in these presentations, people talk about how to use sortition in nonprofit NGOs, like on a board. I mean, the American sortition organization, Sortition USA, has a sortition selected board. So they're really what we would say walking their talk. They really want to use it. We need more of that in maybe businesses, possibly in uses in schools, so that there's a broad understanding of what the process is, and it's not just something special some politician is trying to throw on us or some individual is trying to throw on the. I don't know. Anybody else have any other thoughts on that? Any other questions for Georg? Because I still have more. No? Ian?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Georg, great presentation, and yeah, really interesting. And I don't want to, think that these processes are meaningless. They do familiarize the people that participate in them, but I think, like Richard said, like Rich said, we have to scale it so much more. It can't just be these big processes that are for the government. We need lots of people to participate in these types of things so they understand the mechanics of it. As far as like the end game, where as far as like trying to take power away from politicians, changing the frame of government from aristocracy, ruled by the distinguished, to rule by the common people. What do you feel like the right direction is? Where are the most useful places to put the lever to be working on that problem?
You couldn't choose a smaller question, right?
Just an easy one.
Okay, I try to keep it short. The first thing is we have to be fair, because in Germany the use and the implementation in the political system of CAs on a local level is still growing. So there are very positive examples of using and implementing CAs, and it's the debates we have in Germany and the UK and everywhere of how to design these processes near perfectly, so to raise the possibility that the results may have an influence on politics. This kind of starts to work, I would say. So there is a process of evolving. To answer your second questions, I don't want to lean too much out of the window. That's a German saying. I hope you get it. But the one thing that we are thinking about right now, or in Neue Generation and me myself, are constitutional citizens' assemblies, powered and initiated by civil society. So at the end of, because you talked about end game, at the end there has to be a new constitution in Germany, in Europe, wherever there will be a new set of rules how we act together, decide together, live together. So that's the end game. Making the constitution better, more democratic. And yeah, this is my perspective, and I guess there are some perspective in Neue Generation that also see it like that. But of course, we don't speak with one voice. That's nearly impossible in such a diverse movement. But if you ask me, that's my answer.
Michael?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was it's really great to hear perspectives from around the world. And in the United States, we share usually the same issues with sortition as you do there. So I'm on the side, what I do is I write material on revolutions and uprisings. And what I have found is that even if you have great ideas like sortition, unless there's a event that just bubbles to the top, usually social change is just extremely hard, or you have a revolution, one or the other. In the United States, I don't think we're there yet. But that being said, what Ian said, is also historically true as well. Awareness, I think, once the opportunity presents itself, is very valuable. So I think the people will, for the most part, maybe a lot of people will generally ignore ideas to change government, even if they're great ideas like sortition, until that time has come. We saw it in the United States throughout our history. For example, civil rights has, civil rights, it was one of those journeys where the American people really didn't embrace it until, the 20th century. We still haven't passed amendments, on things that should have passed, like equal rights amendment for women. So I just think it takes time, unfortunately, but I think awareness really is a valuable thing, and keep fighting for, changes, because eventually they'll come. May not be in our generation, but eventually they come. And I think those good ideas, I have faith, come to the top. So anyway, thank you for your presentation. It was really, really enlightening.
Thank you,
Thank you
Matthias.
very much. I have a little add-on to what you said. We have in Germany, there was a revolution, as you all know, 1989. And we had this like 10, 11 month time frame from the wall fell down to the reunion. And in this time frame, there was a thing called roundtables. And this was kind of like a deliberation tool, not sortition, but the old players of the old government and the new players, they sat together and they spoke about the future. And this was and some of these roundtables, they happened everywhere in the country, in the old GDR, and some of them thought about a new constitution for the GDR. It's like it has more basic human rights than the German constitution right now has. It has human nature has its own rights and stuff. It was very progressive, but it never got the chance to be really implemented, because then the people chose bling bling and money and such stuff, the golden west. You all know the history. And so even though we have an opportunity and the time is right, or history presents an opportunity, we have to be ready for that. So we can't just hope that when we get to the point, we will be in the or we can present our idea and the people will like it, and then everything turns out well. we have to be ready for that. That's what I wanted to.
Yeah. Matteo.
Pleasure. Good evening to everybody. I mean, at least on this side of the globe. uh, let me take one breath. First of all, I'm curious about the process design that Georg mentioned. So, how and especially to what extent the process of CAs, especially dictate outcomes empirically, and also how you can design those so that to become the least biased possible, so to say, if that makes sense, right? Especially moderation seems to be very important to skewer if that's like intended, right? So especially from the constitution side, right? Should there be like the formalization of that process, right? So if you want to talk about the constitution design, and then furthermore, how much data is there, especially on like the Irish, I like the Irish system. I've seen a lot of data on the Belgian CA kind of approach, but I've not seen that much on the Irish yet. Do you have some data in that regard, especially if you implement some of their findings, so to say, into the German CAs?
I can answer these both questions very quickly. We just looked at German CAs, so no data about Irish CAs on our side, and we deliberately didn't look at the factor or the aspect of execution, because there's so many literature everywhere in so many languages how to design this process, so that we had the feeling we couldn't add value to that discussion, so we just left it out in regards to our resources and the time that we had. So yeah.
Are there maybe some ideas how to design those, and like how to like use like CA type dynamics to implement the most effective ones? Because I mean, this is like a huge power question, right? And like once they would be implemented on a national scale, even semi-national scale, like dictating that is a huge leverage point. Are there like designs how you can have like an iteration process there, so at least that gets changed if needed?
Bianca, did you have something to say?
Yes, I only want to add that in the workshop where I participated, there was this idea that it is crucial that the participants of the citizen assembly can change the agenda. That the organization should be very open to things they did not anticipate, and that the participants should get the opportunity to say no, not this direction, that, or something completely else or so. That's the only thing I think in this workshop was in this direction. It was not really the topic.
Okay. Do you want to add any more to that, Georg? Or okay. Any other questions? I have another question. We have a few minutes left here. In speaking to the report that you created, the survey, and then the final results, what's the next step in making sure that we address the findings of that report in the future? It seems almost like, and I hate to suggest this because I don't love bureaucracies, but it seems like there needs to be an organization or an institute, maybe run by a university, I don't know, that has the findings of your survey, the findings of your study in mind, and can help guide future, citizens assemblies that aren't using, state funds or aren't initiated by the state. Would you say that that's, next step, or how do you see it?
Two thoughts on that. We did the study in the workshop mostly not for the public, to be honest. We did it for ourselves because we did two parliamentary dimension, so Parliament of the People And what we realized, what we felt is we can facilitate it, we can organize it, but we don't have, we can't offer the participants power or anything else. So what we wanted to know is, are there any prototypes out there, or thoughts out there that could help us to design a better, more impactful Parliament of Dimension? So
Right.
I would say we as Neue Generation want to do more of that. We want to host more Parliament Dimension, and we want to use these findings. So that is the one point I want to make, and the other point I forgot.
That's all right. So it's
Can you repeat the question, because I have the feeling that it was important what I wanted to say, but I just forgot.
well, the idea is that at some point it seems like there needs to be an institutionalized overseer or umbrella. Go ahead.
Yes, and speaking of umbrella, the idea that was talked a lot in the workshop was not that we have one institution as an umbrella, so that we have a well organized alliance of civil society organizations, something like a functioning ecosystem, because there may be NGOs that have a certain topic they work on. It doesn't make sense that they do citizens assembly on a totally different topic. So, but they can get help from these other alliance partners who maybe had their own experiences, and so they can share it with each other. And I wouldn't say, because if we have a one institution, we again have this top down, and there's a lot of power within this one institution. So we'd like to think about this topic as an ecosystem.
Sure. Sure. That makes sense. To where no one can dominate, but everybody contributes.
Yes.
Right. Other thoughts, other questions? Well, then I'm just going to keep going on, Georg. The last thing, I mean, you had mentioned we need to be ready, and that's my thought too. I tend to be a little bit more, I guess, sensitive to the fact that we're going through some really difficult political times in the U.S., and that at any point something could break in one direction or the other. That may sound alarmist. I don't mean to be, but we're certainly experiencing something that I would love for the United States to be ready with some options if something does break, in a one direction or the other. And that's a huge task to think about. How do we approach? You had said we need to be ready. So do you have some thoughts, just listing bullet points? Well, here's one way we can be ready. Here's another way we can be ready. I'm going to be taking notes, by the way. Or anybody, if anybody wants to jump in here with ideas.
I have a very pessimistic state of mind right now. So I would, if anyone wants to start, please.
Matteo, you have a thought or you have another question?
Well, I mean, Peter Turchin has been very precise in his assumption that the US, the US system right now is so broken down that it almost requires a revolution of some sort to rebalance the power scales. Right? It can no longer re-innovate itself from the inside because the system is so broken internally that there is just not even enough reform power left to do that, because the constitution is so badly designed, quite simply. And so, I mean, Turchin, I don't know whether you're familiar with his works of secular cycles. Pete Turchin. And I mean, he uses Gini, or income inequality, as the most important metric for the stability of a society. The US is far beyond any comfortable measure, so to say. I mean, we have got our first trillionaire in the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, Trump is by all metrics richer than some of the richest monarchs in all of history, like percentage-wise. And so, how to say, there's not really a peaceful solution here, unfortunately. The problem is that the revolution right now is really one-sided, because there's no fighting against the institutions of the U.S. So, but I'm afraid that something will blow up in the not too foreseeable future.
Well, again, we can all imagine or guess what might happen, and none of us know. But the idea is to at least to have some of these processes out there, these deliberative thoughts and processes in society, to where if there is a break, there are things to reach for. I think that's maybe some of the attitude that the American Sortition organization is moving towards. They often talk about constitutional reform, but then they're at the same time creating smaller organizations, city organizations, Sortition city organizations. That's kind of the thrust, is like New York has one, Washington, D.C. has one, L.A. has one. You know, the idea of these people locally promoting the concepts of sortition on a lower level than this grand, we're going to change the Constitution and change our government, because that's, kind of a lofty goal at this point. Did you want to add more, Matteo?
I mean, how to say, the issue is that some, like the larger prisoner dilemmas, right, at stake, are not solvable by the lower end, like the bottom-up approaches, so to say, right? I mean, because especially wealth and income inequality is dictated so far from the top down, that like some lower levels, like even citywide choices, will not change that at all, right? So the problems will be dictated from the top end to the below, and they will not tolerate this, right? They will just squash this at some point, because it's like it's like an ant standing up to I don't know, like a bear, and even though that might help, yeah, I mean, even though they might have much stronger institutions. Wait, is my connection unstable?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm a bit in the countryside, but yeah, I can't see this, like, because like what usually happens after it's like especially revolutions, people are heavily traumatized, and that usually leads to some willingness to reform.
Right. Well, we have only a few minutes left in our time here. Are there any last minute questions? Just wanted to draw your attention to, at the end of the chat, I've also included all the INSA links, and then a little bit above that, once again, I put Georg's full report, and I would really recommend people look it over. Like I said, it was very enlightening to me, and it can help perhaps be a guiding light for future citizens' assemblies and sortition bodies around the world. Georg, do you have any last comments, any really profound things that you're going to leave us with that's going to change our lives?
No, not. I wrote one sentence in the chat right now, and this is something, just a feeling that I have sometimes when the days are dark. Maybe all we do right now and establish right now is for after the fascism.
Yeah.
Just Ian and Bianca still have their hands up to ask questions, Rich. So if you want to go to them before we wrap up.
Well, I didn't see those. They're not showing up for me. Go ahead, Bianca. Did you? Oh, Ian, sorry. Ian's first and then Bianca. Sorry.
No, you're just fine. I think as far as like how we get ready, I think familiarizing as many people as possible with the idea of sortition and well-considered design implementations. And then number two, like actually having the material available so that when it comes time to write a new constitution, whether it's after some violent revolution or before, and there's some sort of serious rupture, that there's already a well-considered design in place that a lot of people have heard about, and they can say, okay, we definitely need a new constitution now. There's no question. This is one that we can use. This is not a new constitution, but this is a method to write a new constitution. This is a method to amend what we have.
Thank you. Bianca?
Yes, I think that if a revolution or some sort of breakdown comes, what we can learn from, for example, the Oregon Citizen Assembly is you have to take the people with you. And that means that it's very good to have organizations in every city, in every countryside, because I think you have to make very, 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 very much constitutional assemblies on the local level and then somehow go up, fuse them together until you have some process, because if you only take one, people won't come with. And one lesson you can take from past revolutions is that they are always forming these council of the old states, the Soviets or so. They are forming spontaneously in most revolutions I've found. People are organizing around their home, their workplace, something like that.
Thank you. Sorry for missing you too. Didn't mean to do that. Georg, thank you so much for taking the time today. Bianca, thank you for facilitating this. Again, the links are on the chat. Get those before you leave. This recording will be posted on the INSA YouTube channel, and we will be probably making more, having more connection to it on the INSA server. So please join us if you haven't already. Once again, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care.
Okay. So anything to